Hey, Tony?
Good evening, Sue. We contacted hospitals throughout the region. The Medical Services Emergency Director here at St. Mary's says the hospital's already seen a handful of cases, and despite forecasted falling temperatures, he's worried cases will increase over the weekend. Why wouldn't it peak when it's the hottest?
Well, the number one way to prevent heat illness is to stay out of the heat and to be in air conditioning. So during the weekdays, you have a lot of people who are at work in an air-conditioned office building, and therefore they won't become ill with heat illness.
But when the weekend comes around,
we'll have the inevitable weekend warrior go out and be on the golf course or on the soccer field, and some people don't always take into account that with higher temperature levels, they need to increase the fluid intake.
St. Mary's Emergency Services Medical Director Dr. Michael Olgren says there's another possible reason cases could rise.
People sometimes can develop problems from the heat over a gradual period of time, so they become more and more dehydrated as several days go by and they haven't been keeping up with their liquids.
People can become dehydrated and suffer heat exhaustion or heat stroke. Heat stroke can be life-threatening, and a Spectrum Health spokesman says that group's hospitals have treated people for the problem. But he said he wasn't aware of any deaths reported at the hospitals. When we called other hospitals across West Michigan, representatives at Spectrum, St. Mary's, Holland, Borges, and Bronson Methodist Hospital reported heat-related cases. A Bronson Battle Creek spokesman reported no rise in heat cases, and a Metro Health Hospital spokeswoman said the Wyoming facility had not handled many such cases. Mercy Health Partners' Muskegon emergency departments were not dealing with heat issues, the spokeswoman said. Many who are treated for heat problems have prior health issues, but Dr. Michael Olgren says that's not all cases.
We had one person who works in a factory, and because it's not air conditioned, it deals with a heat-related process, they ended up having some complications of kind of muscle breakdown that can occur with prolonged exposure to the heat.
The doctor says he doesn't believe that person had prior issues. He says everyone's at risk, but the people at particular risk are, again, people with prior health problems, people with mental illness who may not necessarily recognize what the heat is doing to them, people at the extreme ends of the age spectrum, the very young, the very old, and people taking certain medication. The best advice for everyday people is, of course, to hydrate, and if you are planning on spending long periods of time, perhaps split that up. Limit the amount of time you're out on a field, out in a boat. Split it up and spend less time out in that direct heat. We'll continue to stay in touch with hospital officials and let you know if, in fact, there are more cases as the weekend goes on. Live in Grand Rapids, Tony Tagliavia, 24 Hour News 8.